Evening and welcome back. Another day, another opportunity to master DILR. But more than the process, more than the challenge, that the a real important point that I wanted to make was that there is always a zero prep set. That means a kind of set that almost anybody can solve. When I say almost anybody, that means somebody who's gone through school, college education, is aware of what the challenges, is literate enough basically, knows basic arithmetic, basic addition, subtraction. Any person like that can manage this set. So if you're not hitting at least a 90 percentile, chances are you're missing out on this very easy opportunity. I'm talking about the actual CAT exam. Mocks can be, depending on the quality of the company providing, can be very low to very high. But if you look at any CAT challenge, right, you sit down, you analyze, you spend maybe a week analyzing all those past years' paper, and you'll find there is always that super easy set that does not require too much. I mean, maybe some effort, but does not require too much mental challenge, right? The ideas are going to be very, very easy. And obviously, this advice is for all of those people who keep writing to me about the big challenge of DILR. Chances are that your process has been messed up by terrible training, right? Because I somebody else also asked me yesterday that should I do games and tournaments? And I was like, that's a wrong approach because there is no such topic known as games and tournaments. So if you're trapped in that topical learning that I will master the DILR formula and this type of question, that type of question, rather than having common sense, basic focus and concentration, being able to read, just basic day-to-day skills, right? Just using those, you can manage that set. So one of the main games for you should be the ability to look for easy questions, right? Let me just check the sound before we start any further. Right? So that's the main agenda. And what I want you to notice while doing this particular set, this is from CAT 23 slot 3. This is called the AC set if you want to name it. But I want you to notice over and over again that how easy, commonsensical, class 7 level math, class 6 level mathematics kind of a question. But if you ask those people who actually appeared for the exam, they will tell you, oh my God, CAT 23, when I am Calcutta or I am Lucknow, whatever, some bullshit story is playing out, right? And that my blame is on terrible training and not having basic clarity while learning, right? So, again, let me start with my basic ideas that will come into play. You will read, you will deduce. By now, I'm assuming you know what a basic deduction is. A plus B is 5, A is 2, then B has to be 3. That's the level of deduction that we are looking at, right? Be organized. This is an important part of the DILR process that you have to have patience and organization because in a lot of our, like let's say when we solve our verbal questions, we don't need to write down anything. We just read and answer the question, right? Even when we are doing a maths question, it will require an equation, one, two lines, and we are done. Here it requires some work, right? Putting it on the table as such. So be ready for that. Be patient about that. Prepare it early so that you're organized and then you are done. One of the major skills is trial and error and building and testing cases. But in that super easy set, even that is not required. And obviously, philosophically and psychology wise, it has to be that you have to be fearless. I know for sure what happens is between poor training, lack of preparation, and lack of preparation is fine. I would send someone without preparation, they might perform better rather than somebody who's gone through 1 year of coaching because their brain gets messed up. They have declared the test to be very, very difficult. So even when easy stuff is in front of them, because of that palpitation, that fear factor in the heart, the easy stuff will also become very, very difficult, right? So one way or another, and I mean, how do you get over the fear? I would say do only from CAT sections, the CAT previous year papers, do only the easy set, spot them that yes, there is an easy set all the time, put your hopes there. And even with the so-called difficult set, you will see the logic level remains the same. It's just that maybe the effort, the number of steps might go high. So you might require more patience, more focus for a longer duration, more of a memory bank in your head, and courage, obviously, because halfway through, if you're scared, then the process is going to be derailed, right? So with that, let me dive into the story and let's see what's going on here. Is it readable? Yes. Very simple story. I've already made the table, but you can make it afterwards. An air conditioner company has four dealers, D1, D2, D3, D4 in the city. So I put up the dealers, D1, D2, D3, D4. It is evaluating sales performance of these dealers. Okay. Now, this is a sentence that I need to read only once, right? So I can eliminate it from the process. The company sells two variants of ACs, Windows and Split. Okay, great. So I was, if this was the story, I would say, okay, I have Windows ACs and I have Split ACs. Furthermore, though, it says, sorry, that slide touched the wrong button. Furthermore, though, both these variants can be either inverter type or non-inverter type. Now, even before reading the rest of the story, when I made the table, okay, for any one dealer, think about it, there is a window inverter type. This WNI means Windows non-inverter type. Maybe in the story I will require the total windows, and maybe I did a quick preview of the story and I saw total numbers were also given. So total windows, split inverter, split non-inverter, total split. You can also have data about total inverter and total non-inverter, right? The thing is, the advantage of organizing it so is that your thinking load will be reduced. So if you spend that time in the beginning and set up the data structure, how are you going to organize the data? Then this will, it's easy anyway, but this will become easier still because you've already created a structure and a story where data can be plugged in very, very quickly, right? So I read this and this is the table that I came up with. You don't have to make it so organized, but these would be the various categories. Even if you did not think in the beginning, as you read the rest of the story, you will come up with, okay, I need total windows also, total split also, how many total inverter, how many total non-inverters, etc., right? Furthermore, I dive into the story. It is known that the total number of AC sold in the city 25% were of window variant, while the rest were of split variant. Okay, read it carefully because this is the important piece of the data. To total ACs, if I add up all the windows and split all them together, 25 were window variant. So, window is equal to 25% of T and split is equal to, therefore, deduction, if Windows is 25%, then the split will be remaining 75% of T. So if I say what is the basic skill required here, it's addition, subtraction, maybe percentages, even that very basic level, right? So I read this part of the story. This sentence I've captured in close to my table so that I can look at it quickly and I don't have to read the sentence over and over again. While the rest were of the split variant. So 25% of the total is Windows and 75% of the total is the Windows, right? Is the split. Also, I noticed that if this is 25% and this is 75%, split is going to be three times that of total and Windows is going to be one third of, split is going to be three times of Windows and Windows is going to be one third of split, right? Commonsensical information. Among the inverter AC sold, 20% were of window variant. So in the inverter category, let me capture this as well. It says 20% were window. So window inverter, WI is equal to how much? 20% of total inverter. This number, total inverter category, right? And that again tells me that the split is going to be, the split inverter is going to be 80% of tautite, right? So very easy information so far. All I've done is captured these last two couple of sentences. I've captured them next to my table so that I can access them fairly quickly, right? So I can move further. And this is not all of the story because I have to manage space on the screen. I have captured half of it. Let's go further. Let me reduce my size, it's not needed. And let me put up this. And now I'm going into a series of rules. Now, if you're with me so far, stay with me for a little bit more and just capture this data on the table, and you will see that with hardly any effort, hardly any big logic challenge or any insight, you will be able to do it in no time. Now it says every dealer sold at least two window ACs. That means when I'm talking about this total window for D1, D2, D3, D4, this has to be a minimum of two. Let me capture that as well. At least two. So this total has to be at least two for every single dealer, right? I've captured this. I can so that I can quickly access this data whenever I'm looking at it. Maybe it will come in handy later. Now comes the easy part of the story, even easier. D1 sold 13 inverter ACs. Think of D1, and we're not talking about windows, we're not talking about split, we're talking about total inverter ACs. So total inverter is here, total inverter. You can have your own notation, is going to be 13. While D3 sold 5 9 non-inverter ACs. D3 story, total non-inverter, he sold 5. And don't think, just capture the data, put it there, it'll all fit in together in no time. Point number three, a total of 6 window non-inverter ACs and 36 split inverter ACs, a total of 6 window non-inverter. Where is my total window non-inverter? If I add it in this direction, D1 plus D2 plus D3 plus D4, I'll get a total of 6, right? So all you had to do was pick out where the data is going to go in the table. So this is my window non-inverter. This D1's Windows non-inverter plus D2 plus Windows non-inverter, D3's Windows non-inverter is going to give you a total of 6. I'm going slow and repeating because just in case somebody is struggling here. But if when you are doing it and let's say there is no fear, there is going to be just okay, yeah, this sum is going to be 6. And similarly, it tells me and 36 split inverter ACs were told. So split inverse inverter is in this row, split inverter, split inverter, split inverter, split in the total is going to be 36. Okay, great. Let's see what else is given. The number of split AC sold by D1 was twice the number of Windows AC sold by it. So if the total number of Windows AC sold by D1 is A, so the total split is going to be 2A. So it gave me the rule, I just captured the rule, used a variable. Again, right now the table is looking empty, but I have to have that patience key that this is going to get resolved, right? Just have to put the data there. The number of split ACs sold by D1 was twice the number of Windows AC sold by it. I've captured it here, A and 2A. Rule number 5, D3 and D4 sold an equal number of window ACs, and this number was one third of the similar ACs sold by D2. D3 and D4 equal number of window ACs. So this is my total window ACs. They sold an equal number. Let me call it B and B. Let me make it bold also so that it's visible. And this number is one third of similar ACs sold by D2. Similar ACs means window ACs. That means this number is going to be 3B, right? If this is B, this is going to be 3B because this B is one third of this 3B, right? Or in any other notation that you might have captured. Okay, great. And I also have a rule here which says this has to be, B has to be at least 2 somewhere, right? Uh, Furthermore, rule number 6, D2 and D3 were the only ones who sold window non-inverter ACs. So the game, I said zero prep, but yeah, focus, concentration, reading, what data are we talking about is definitely required. So I'm thinking of D2 and D3 and window non-inverter ACs. They were the only ones, D2 and D3. They have some numbers but the rest is going to be 0. D1 did not sell any window non-inverter ACs and D4 also did not sell any non-inverter ACs. Make them both bold so that they are visible. Furthermore, the number of these ACs sold by D2 was twice the number of ACs sold by D3. Okay. So if D3 is X, D2 is going to be 2X. But I know the total already from some other rule. I know the total is 6. So X plus 2X is equal to 6. 3X is equal to 6. That means X is equal to 2 and the 2X is going to be 4. And boom, this was your deduction. You saw one thing, you saw it on the table and you connected it together and you got the value, right? Uh, what else? Okay, we've covered this rule. D3 and D4 sold an equal number of split inverter ACs. This number was half the number of similar ACs sold by D2. Split inverter ACs, we have got D3 and D4 has sold equal number. So again, let me call it X and X. And this number was half the number of similar ACs sold by D2. So that means this number is going to be 2x. Yes, I'm assuming everything is very, very open and clear so far. Just give me a second, guys. Right? Okay, so now let's see what else is available on the table in or in front of me. I read this rule earlier that Windows is 25% of total, split is 75% of total, and Windows inverter is 20% of total and split inverter is 80% of total inverters, right? Just looking at this 20% is one fourth of 80%. That means the window inverter ACs are going to be one fourth of split inverter ACs. I have the split inverter AC number total here. One fourth of that is going to be 9. So this value has to be 9. And then just step by step, the moment I got this value as 9 and I already know this value is 16, I know total Windows ACs are going to become 15. Wow. If the total window ACs, if this value W here is equal to 15, 15 is one fourth of total. So the total will become 60, right? That means in the total split category, you need 45 more ACs. 36 you already had, you put a 9 here and you are done. You're getting this value as well, right? If any step here is a problem, please rewind and get that logic again. What am I doing? I am using very, very basic arithmetic, right? Class 6 level arithmetic or wherever percentages is basically introduced. So I know Windows 80, I started here actually. Let me repeat the steps once again. I know Windows inverter ACs are 20% of the total inverter ACs. I know split inverter ACs are 80% of the total inverter ACs. That also tells me, I mean, I could have followed another direction, but that window inverter is going to be one fourth of split inverter. Split inverter I had as 36, one fourth I put here 9. So I also got that the total number is 45, which you could have come from any other direction as well, right? And the moment I put this, I got the total number of windows. For that also I had a rule that the total number of windows is one fourth of total or one third of the split, right? So if I know this is 15, the other category is going to be 45. The total split is going to be 45. 36 plus 9 is 45, right? Okay, great. I have figured this out. Most of my work is actually done. Now is just taking the next step and the next step and the next step. Now, I have the at least two here. And I have this rule as well. Let's look at this piece of information. A plus 3B plus B plus B is going to be 15. I think I made a mistake somewhere. Let me just, I think in rule number, the number of split ACs sold by D1 was twice the number of Windows ACs sold by it. And let me check my B rule again. This D3 and D4 sold an equal number of Yeah, okay, no, this is check. Okay, great. So everything is in place. Let me just copy another box. For a minute, I got distracted. So I was like, okay, have I made a mistake here? So I've got A plus 3B plus B plus B, which is 5B, is equal to 15. Now I have to do a little bit of trial and error. Remember that B cannot be 1 because I have a rule which says that the total number of Windows ACs has to be at least 2. So B cannot be 1. I'm trying out a story that B is 2, right? And 5 into 2 will give me 10. That means if B is equal to 2, A will become 5. This story works for me. If I made B equal to 1, 5 into 1, I'll get 5, then A would have become 10. But B can't be 1 because the rule says that the total window category has to be at least 2. So I tried B2. If I try as B has 3, then A would become 0, which I don't want. So I figured out after this little trial and error that B is going to be 2, B is going to be 2, this is going to be 6, 6 plus 2, 8 plus 2, 10, and this is going to be 5. And if this is 5, the total number of split ACs is going to be 10. Okay, great. What else do I have? What else can I capture here? Now, if I keep looking at the data again. So, if I look at this D3 table, for example, I know the total is 2 and the non-inverter is 2. That means this D3 has to be 0. The same story works here in this category. I know my total is 2. The window non-inverter category is 0. You don't even have to say these names out loud. I'm doing that because we're communicating. But in your head, you're just like, okay, this table, that means this has to be 2 as well. Now, if this is 5, if the total is 5 and this is 0, that means this has to be 5 as well. Here, if the total is 9, 5 plus something plus 0 plus 2 is going to be 9. That means this has to be 2, which I could have figured out another way. This is 4 and this is 6. That means this has to be, the total has to be 2, right? Now, right now I'm going faster and saying this. That's how it actually happens in your brain, right? You won't say window non-inverter AC plus window inverter. The total is 6 and therefore and so on and so forth. Okay, great. Now I have Windows inverter for D1 story. I have Windows inverter as 5 and total inverter as 13. That means split inverter is going to be 8. Wow, I'm almost very close to ending the story. Just to let me make everything bold in case it is not clear. Now I have this last piece of equation 8 plus 2x plus x plus x. 2x plus x plus x is going to give me 4x. 8 plus 4x is 36, right? So solve this equation. Should not be, can be done orally. I'm just writing it down. 8 plus 4x is equal to 36. So 4x is equal to 36 minus 8. 36 minus 8 is 28. That means 4x is equal to 28. That means x is equal to 7. Wow, great. X is equal to 7. X is equal to 7. X is equal to 7. What else can I do here? I have a total split category as the value was 10. Split inverter is 8. That means split non-inverter is going to be 2. Right? Again, a very easy step to tackle. Uh, Furthermore, I have a 5 here which says the total non-inverter ACs for D3 is 5. Total non-Windows inverter ACs is 2. That means that split inverter AC category has to be, non-inverter AC category has to be 3. And that's it. I'm done with as much I could have managed because I've already read all the rules. I've captured everything. So there is nothing else to tackle. But these two values I still haven't figured out. If I figure out these two values, I will have the perfect table. But that's a typical sign of a cat set that even after working out the table, they leave some things out just to basically scare you, right? Now, once I'm done with this, the questions are going to be very, very easy. Let me get into the questions. I have the table in front of me. It's just going to be ridiculously easy process. How many split inverter ACs did D2 sell? Split inverter, D2, answer is going to be 14, right? So I'm going to copy it and put it in front of the question so that everybody can see it. What percentage of AC sold were of non-inverter type? Non-inverter type. Total ACs I can now figure out. 45 plus 15 is 60. Non-inverter type is going to be 6 here and 9 here. This is the non-inverter category, Windows non-inverter, and this is the split non-inverter category. So 6 plus 9 is going to give you 15. So 15 out of 60, 15 by 60 is what you have to figure out. 15 by 60 is then again easy number to figure out. My answer is going to be 25%, right? Yes, easy so far, very, very easy, nothing to be done, right? And that, as I said earlier in the beginning of the session, is the main game. Now, what was the total number of AC sold by D2, D2, and D4? Total number of ACs. So, the total Windows ACs are 6 and 2, so 8. But I do not have the total split category, right? But again, now this is maybe a little challenging question, or let's say a thinker's question. I'm just counting total. I want to figure out the total number of ACs sold by D2 and D4. That means total of windows plus total of split. Total of windows is in front of me, 6 and 2. So it's going to be 8. But this data I don't have. So I might be tempted to say ki no, I do not know. But because we're talking about D2 and D4 only, I know whatever the values, this could be A and this could be B. The total of the story is 9. So 2 plus 3, 5 is already gone. A plus B has to be 4, right? So 6 ACs here, 2 ACs here, 8. 14 plus 7, 21. 21 plus 8, 29. And A and B, the sum is always going to be 4, no matter. It might be different. A could be 1, B could be 3, A could be 2, B could be 2. But the total is always going to be 4 because the overall total is 9. And out of that 9, 5 is gone. So A plus B is always going to be 4. Rest it was just counting. Total windows 6 plus 2 8. Total split inverters 14 plus 7 21. Total non-split inverters, split non-inverters, the sum is going to be 4. So 29 plus 4, my answer is going to be 33. Done, right? So which of the following statements is necessarily false? D2 sold the highest number of ACs. Uh, Even if this is 1, like if I take the minimum value of A as 1, or even if I take it as 0, right? 7, if I make this 0, 14 plus 0 is going to give me a total of 14 plus 620. This is the biggest number. So D2 selling the highest number of ACs is definitely true. I'm looking for a false statement. So D2 is not going to work for me. D1 and D3 together sold more ACs compared to D2 and D4 together. D1 together, right? So total windows plus total split is 5 plus 10, 15. D3 together, total windows is 2 and this I also know is, I know is to be, I can have put that value there, is 10, right? So no, D2's value is way more. So this would become false, right? Do check for yourself, but easy data to look at, right? And that's it. We are done with the set. So if you manage this set, you're crossing over to 90, 92, 93 percentile. Maybe I've not done one question, but the work is done already. Let me see if I put it up on the screen. Yeah, no, this we've done. Okay, great. This one question is left. Let's try it out. If D3 and D4 sold an equal number of ACs, if D3 and D4 sold an equal number of ACs, D3's total is 2 plus 10. And here I have 2 plus 7, 9. That means this has to be 3. Remember the total is 9. So 2 plus 3, 5 plus 3, 8. This has to be 1. Great. Then what is the total number of non-inverter ACs sold by D2? Non-inverter ACs is 4 in the Windows category and 1 in the split category. So my answer would be 5, right? And we are done. So notice, stay with the story and notice what was the real challenge here. You will see that, yeah, except the concentration, developing your focus and concentration and having the ability to sustain it, there was no challenge here. You did not require any theory, any formula, any special training, any new batch happening, no crash course, nothing. You just had to have basic common sense and confidence. Yes, training is required to build that basic confidence. But what I see mostly is that after training, the confidence is even lower, right? So, with that basic confidence means that, yeah, you're trying it out. You believe that you can do it. Of course, if without that, nothing is possible. But otherwise, I really invite you to stay with the problem, look at it again, try it out once again, even if it's difficult, right? I'm not saying it will be easy for everyone because of those psychological factors, because they're convinced, the people are convinced that they're bad at DILR and oh my God. And therefore, that this very reasonably doable stuff also is problematic, right? Uh, Yes, when you look at it, the data, you have to be systematic, you have to be organized, you have to do a little bit of equation building, and you have to keep doing it. But no formula, no specific training, no games and tournament and arrange whatever special technique that everybody is trying to learn. Nothing, right? Commonsensical, basic arithmetic and addition, which everybody knows anyway. So that is the main lesson here, guys, that there is a lot of easy stuff. So it's a point of view whether you think of it as a very difficult situation or do you think of it as a situation that you can master, right? So that's it. I mean, of course, the main agenda is always solving challenge and mastering it. That we have done already. So that's it for the day. I will see you really soon with the next logic challenge. And again, even in the difficult one, you have to actually sit down and notice because that's how I mastered DILR. I was like, okay, so-called difficult set is what's new, what's happening, is there something that I did not know? And I always saw after solving it or after try struggling with it that oh it was just me struggling with it anticipating difficulty thinking of it as difficult and it will become difficult think of it as easy and doable and it will become easy and doable, right? So that's it for right now. I will see you really soon in the next session. Good night. Shabba khair.